Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Carrie. So today we are going to have a conversation about apologies.
Oh, geez. This is not an easy topic.
No, it's not. And I can be the first to admit that I don't say sorry very well.
Really? So I used to apologize all the time. Were you one of those young women who like apologized for everything? Because that was definitely me.
Yeah, I don't think I ever was somebody that apologized really well.
Oh, instead of saying, excuse me, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. Like,
Yeah, for
oh,
stuff like that, like if I bump into somebody, oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry, like a
yeah. Okay.
superficial, but like if I hurt somebody's feelings
Yeah.
or I respond in a way that even I know is wrong,
More
then I think,
defensive.
yeah.
Oh. Ooh, we need to probably look at the four horsemen then, because I bet that's really common when someone knows that they could apologize for something instead of taking full responsibility, the defense mechanisms go up. And I bet the four horsemen from the Gottmans would have something to say about that.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
stonewalling, right? So I bet somebody stonewalls and gives somebody the cold shoulder when they feel like they need to apologize. The four horsemen come up, defenses come up when we feel like we've been wronged, right? Or we're put on the defense. Somebody's asking us, why are you doing that? But the antidote is not to then give somebody the cold shoulder. It's to say, okay, well, I'm feeling this certain way, or I feel this way when you do this, but let me apologize for overreacting or yelling impulsively, or
Yeah.
lying to avoid trouble, anything like that. But oh, what prevents us from apologizing? That's an excellent question.
Yeah. I mean, I think so much of it is like dependent on our upbringing and
Yes.
certainly like our generation, like
Yeah.
our parent, like growing up, parents didn't say sorry if they like wronged us. And,
No,
in
they're
my
totally
household,
justified.
the motto was kids are to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that some of the like indirect messages that got passed along
Yeah.
were if there's conflict, maybe everybody processes on their own and then you just kind of come back together.
That's so
And
interesting that you just said that because when my mom got her master's in counseling, we started processing, not apologizing necessary, but it was
yeah,
a lot of like, I feel this way and I feel that way. And we would talk and yell over each other.
yeah,
I wonder what could have happened if somebody could have just like taken the talking stick and said, I'm sorry for my part in this conflict.
yeah,
We would, and that's why we didn't do, I just in like personal, you know, sharing of information here too. We did like one family therapy session as a family and we never went back because the guy just allowed us to yell at each other. It was
mm,
it was the worst experience of my life in as a clinician and as a daughter in
yeah,
that family and particularly as a sister because the conflict was so hard between siblings at the time, but yelling at each other did nothing
yeah.
but
And I think,
really dig
I
in our
see,
positions.
yeah, and I see a lot of clients that are similar
Hmm.
age as me, and I feel like the theme is similar where like if there's conflict, maybe you part ways for a little while.
Hmm.
Somebody gets over it faster than the other people, but so
Yeah.
then everybody else is expected to move on at that
Move
same
on.
rate,
Right.
and
But you have
there's
to
no
come back. But
processing.
you have to come back. And sometimes people get impatient because
Yeah.
you have to keep coming back. I love that you're mentioning this though at like the time like Rosh Hashanah has just started. And I believe during the high holidays, the Jewish community and more, maybe it's more around, oh gosh, now my ignorance is showing Yom Kippur, but they really go out of their way to make relationships right,
Mm,
to say like even if I'm not aware of how I might have offended you, I apologize. And
mm-hmm.
how beautiful to offer an apology even in lieu of knowing the specific offense. Like just
Mm-hmm.
assuming we're human. Of course I've offended you in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Wow.
definitely think our egos are usually what keeps us, I
That's
think,
it.
from apologizing.
Back to id, ego, super ego. And it's our super ego, yeah, that says, come on, hon. Like,
You were
you
wrong.
got it right. Right.
Yeah.
You were wrong and you need to make it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. I mean, I know I face it certainly with my kids. I love that you mentioned, the generational issues too, because kids these days definitely are not like seen and not heard. Definitely
Yeah.
from my grandparent, like that was a hard lesson to teach my children as grandchildren, that was how my grandparents viewed them when they were alive, that they were interested in them, but only when it was convenient to my grandmother, in particular. Like, she was entertained by them,
Mm.
and wanted to know what they were up to, and loved having me tell her, what they were up to. And aunts as well. But my aunts want to talk to them, right? And their aunts want to know who they are as people. So this is very different, children these days.
Yeah.
So I am the first to take responsibility for myself and my family, and the first to, maybe too, because I'm a therapist, but take responsibility and want to role model that for
Yeah.
my kids. And I'll tell my daughter, I don't like your behavior and I don't like how you treated me, but I love you,
Hmm.
and I'm sorry for what I did that contributed. I'm always apologizing for yelling. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a really bad habit. Unfortunately, they hear me curse a lot, but not at them, right?
Hmm.
So that's the thing. Luckily, I'm not having to apologize for like cursing and name calling and really, really bad habits like that. But I definitely have to apologize for yelling, because it just adds to stress.
Hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not helpful.
Yeah. And it's such a good example, I think, for kids to see their parents say I'm sorry for something.
Well, it's about losing it and recovering,
Yeah,
right?
that
We
recovery
can't we
part.
can't
Yep.
just we can't just give our kids timeouts and expect them to learn that taking timeouts is good for everyone. I have to take timeouts, and I have to tell them, like, mom, when they were younger, I was like, mommy needs a timeout, because I knew I was just kind of gonna lose it in front of them.
Hmm.
I lost my patience, lost my ability to stay calm, and they're busy and they have higher energy. So you really do have to go take a break and regroup and gather yourself. But
Yeah.
you don't always have an opportunity to do that either. And thank God they also forget.
Well, I think and apologizing also is just a reminder, like you said, we're all human and we make
Yeah,
mistakes. And so it just normalizes that. And when we
yeah,
can apologize for it, it just
right.
sets a good example for these little people that become adults
Well,
and go into
yeah.
their own
And
relationship.
we've talked a lot privately about how awesome our dogs are at forgiving us and loving us unconditionally, and how we
Yeah.
need to be more, we need to treat ourselves more that way. But like, talk about like forgiveness. Dogs are like the best example of how to forgive our human imperfections and then move on. Like, not only is every day a new day, but like every 5 minutes is a new day
Yeah.
in their
It's
life,
the best. Yeah.
they're like, you yelled at me for jumping on the table, but I love you so much. And their tail is just like wagging like crazy.
Right.
You know, it's like,
That's
wow,
the
they just move on so quickly from
best.
things. They're so good to us and so sweet and reassuring, and just, like, all they want to do is love on us. And really, I mean, that's really the same for kids too. Kids just want praise. And so if you can move through an apology and taking responsibility to then praising them for doing something good, what's the stat? Like, all of us need something like 5 positive statements for every one negative.
Right. It's a
Oh,
lot.
it's a lot.
It's
It's
a
a lot.
lot. Yeah.
Research shows it in corporate offices, in families, in schools. Like, if you actually want the brain to process negative information, you
Hmm.
actually have to give it positive information first and last.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had the same family therapy professor at Maryland, but he always said, it's a stroke, kick, stroke.
Uh-huh.
It's like a sandwich, it's like,
Yeah.
you got to give them the bun with the like positive love, and then the kick, which is the negative feedback that's really hard to hear, and then the stroke again,
Yeah.
which is again padded information. So it's like a bun sandwich. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was so effective when I heard that. But it's so hard to do in the moment too, especially when you're angry.
Yeah. You really do have to like humble yourself to say like, I'm sorry
Oh,
I hurt your feelings, or I'm sorry I did that. Yeah.
yeah. Wow. I wonder if humility is the trick though, then, because you still can agree to disagree. I tell clients this all the time. You can still agree to disagree, but maybe it is in walking away with your own perspective and then humility in treating others with kindness that just enables us to maintain our own dignity and maintain their dignity and worth. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to break somebody down. I think Brene Brown says that a lot in parenting. You don't want to shame. You don't want to say something to your child that then makes them feel ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the risk.
Yeah.
So in not offering apologies and not taking responsibility, then we risk someone walking away from that incident with shame. That would not feel good then in friendship, in romance, like
Yeah. Or even like the example we started with, that somebody moves on and so everybody else just needs to move on, but no processing has happened. It
well,
really
oh my
does
gosh.
teach you that,
Yeah,
like, to not talk about your feelings. The
right.
direct message is not don't talk about your feelings, but the indirect message is it's time to move on and
So
your feelings
repress
don't
whatever
matter.
you're feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
repress whatever you're feeling and move on. It doesn't mean the feelings are no longer there. That happens in couples all the time too. I think couples think, oh, we're supposed to be over this. Let's get back to
Yeah.
really enjoying each other. And I think the Gottman say you have to just turn toward each other. Like there's some statistic that they've, researched over years and years about when there's conflict, do you turn away from each other or turn toward? And couples who turn toward each other 80% of the time, just to understand, not necessarily to apologize, like what we're talking about, just to understand the other person, literally physically turning toward that person and having a conversation. If they do that 80% of the time, that there's conflict, disagreement, or whatever, they will last more than 6 years.
Mm,
That's the kind of and they're doing longitudinal studies to like figure out like how long are these couples actually lasting.
yeah.
It's about getting to a win-win, because when a partner faces rejection, or even in friendship, when a partner faces rejection, you want to get to a win-win, right? So if somebody's saying, hey, I want to go out and do this right now, but the other person's like, I don't feel like that, and they just leave it at that, like, okay, well, just be quiet about it, let's not talk about it again. Or if and it's not going to be successful. If they say, well, I don't feel like doing that right now, but tomorrow, what if we go here? And it's middle
Mm,
ground. If you just find the middle ground, I think maybe apologies help us do that. We've been
yeah.
conditioned to think that apologies are like the end all be all. So some people are like, oh, I'm sorry. And it's useless. It's not even meaningful, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the other side or the swing of the pendulum. And somebody's apologizing so much and it's insignificant then.
Yeah.
They're not changing their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with humility, you can apologize and then keep moving toward a possible win-win when there is ongoing conflict,
Yeah.
something you can't just walk away from, or someone you can't just walk away from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, is there anything else on apologies that we should discuss? An excellent topic.
Yeah, I think
That's the crux
that's
of it,
it.
huh?
Yeah.
Just
Just say
do it.
sorry.
Like Nike said, just say sorry. It's a good start. Yeah. So maybe using it as an opener. So why don't, like, yeah, I think that feels good to me, is like using sorry as an opener for a conversation to make connection. That
Mm-hmm.
can really help heal relationships.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
when I was working more with kids and doing family therapy, a lot of times, like, it sounds silly, but like teaching people how to say sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry that I hurt your feelings or whatever it is. And
Yes.
next time I will try to do, and
Yeah.
then insert whatever it is you want to try and do
Well,
next.
and there's a lot of prideful teaching in that too, with parents telling their kids, don't say sorry because you're not sorry. Well, that's a different meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Being a sorry individual is shame induced, number one, but that's about like, I don't really know what that's about. Like being sorry, it's like not being competent in one's ability to just like think and speak, for themselves. But no, an apology takes responsibility. It knows that
Yeah.
we have an impact on each other and acknowledges that impact. So it's okay to say sorry,
Yep.
and you're still a competent human being. that
Yeah.
can have different opinions from people.
Mhm.
Just agree to disagree and
Yeah.
walk away in peace, not
Yep.
in conflict. Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. Cool.
Mhm.
Thanks, Sarah. Great topic.
Yes.
So, oh, we need to mention something that we're doing because we're
Yeah.
expanding. The whole reason I think we named ourselves the Firefly Counseling Collective is to have the opportunity to really make our dreams come true with what collective means. It can mean any number of things, but for now, it means offering retreats internationally
We're
and domestically.
expanding.
We are. So we're expanding services basically. I mean, we do have a yoga therapist, Amanda, who works with us, and everybody can check out her bio online at fireflycounselingcollective.com. But we also have services that we're offering. I am now obsessed with Costa Rica and plan to go back. And so I want people to come back with me and have a healing reset. And Amanda and I are going to be offering retreats, local retreats for just really a half day, 4 hours. When we find
Mhm.
a location, we're going to be doing that in Maryland. So that's exciting too, both, in Maryland and right now in Costa Rica. So that's going to
Yeah.
be the end of January. So people should really just comment below if they're even remotely interested in
Mhm.
joining
What are
us.
you, do you want to say some of the things that you plan to do
Yeah.
and then I
So I
can
think
maybe share my
for,
hope?
well, I think it's amazing because when I went to Costa Rica with my dear friend Aaron in August, we planned a reset, but we did not talk about what reset meant to either of us. That was so funny. We didn't talk about it until we got there. Well, for me, it meant alcohol free. And I was for a week. And then the last night, I just went a little crazy. But Imperial beer, I highly recommend. So anyway, I reset. I was drinking fruit smoothies every day. We were eating healthy food. We did yoga and we meditated every day. So that's what I really do hope to bring to the retreat is a space of healing that is integrated into daily living, with mindful meditations, yoga, and I have an amazing practitioner there in Costa Rica, in Jaco Beach, Costa Rica, that I want to introduce to people. Spiritual check-ins I plan
Mhm.
to do, because I can do spiritual direction with people. So if people are interested in that, but then you have a special offering that I'm particularly interested in as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna introduce the Enneagram,
Yeah.
which it has a spiritual component too, but it
Yeah.
also can just be personal development, relationship building, using it at work. So I'm excited to offer a
That's so
workshop
fun.
introducing it, talking about the 9 types. And then if people are curious to know more, then we can do a little bit more each day.
Well,
So
and
it's
not only that,
exciting.
but they could continue with you afterwards if
Yeah.
you're an Enneagram life coach. So
Yeah.
that would be amazing if this handful, we're just going with 5 of us, but if out of this handful of people that come, they might really, it might just catch fire for them in terms of a life practice and then need to touch base with you. That would be an amazing integration of what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
if
mean,
somebody wants to learn surfing or go ziplining with me,
yeah, all the other fun stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that is going to be able to be not necessarily cram packed because we want people
It's
to
really
relax
not.
too, but there's a
Yeah.
lot that people are getting for their money with your
Yeah.
spiritual guidance
Yeah.
or whatever you're calling it, and
Yep.
then my Enneagram stuff, and then the
Yeah.
yoga piece.
Right.
Yeah, so we're putting hopefully a lot in for people's money.
I think it'll be amazing. Yeah. So hopefully people can join us when we get this up and running and help us develop it. But it's just, yeah, it's just really exciting to think outside of the box in terms of what we can offer besides counseling, and
Mm-hmm.
know that your Enneagram coaching and retreats are things that we're starting this year, which is incredible. So it's
Yeah.
good to be offering this. It's exciting.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So let's
All right.
figure out when we can do this podcast again. Third time's a charm.
All right. See you
Talk to
next
you soon.
time.